Secrets Unwrapped is brought to you in part by Cooler Guard with the cleaning power of enzymes, Fish Donkey, Hoffman Lures, White Rocks Design Studio, the official design company for Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped, Sugar Mountain Trading Company, Okuma Fishing, Get Inspired, Bennington Self Storage, P-Line, J. Robinson Outdoors, Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped hot sauce with that big craft heat and that big craft taste, the Outdoor Experience Guide Service serving southern Wisconsin for over 20 years, Corker Boats, and a proud member of the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce. Hey, welcome in to Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, we are traveling to Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and as luck would have it, I get to meet up with my good friend Dale Helgeson, our National Walleye Tournament angler, and we are going to fish the Rock River. I grew up in the Midwest, and I was on the Rock River near Moline in Iowa and Illinois on the border there. But Dale, thank you so much.
Oh, pleasure having you up here.
I appreciate it. You know, I always wanted to fish the Rock River with a pro. Okay?
Yep.
You are my pro. What in the world is the Rock River? And there's some special regulations to be out fishing with you on the Rock River as a guide.
Correct. So the Rock River, it's not a real big river. It starts in the Horicon Marsh, goes through Wisconsin, through Illinois, to the Mississippi River. So because of its multi-state and it goes to the Mississippi River, it's considered federal water, even though there's dams and everything. So to guide on here, which I do, you have to have a Coast Guard's captain's license to be able to guide on the river here because it's considered federal water. So you have to go through all the schooling, testing, insurance, all the fun stuff of being a licensed Coast Guard captain to fish out here. You know, I think that's one of the important things is that when you're looking for a guide for waters like that, you have to have a Coast Guard approved captain. Yeah, otherwise you'll get fined if you don't. Right. So is the Rock River a good river here in Wisconsin to fish? I mean, because, you know, the Rock River is a long river. Yeah. And are there walleyes? Are there drum? What is in the river? Walleye is a primary target species. There are a few saugers, not a lot of saugers, but there are some. There's a lot of northern, muskie, sheep's head. And do you think that's all the way down, or is that? Yeah, it's predominantly all the way down. Okay. Certain sections will have more sauger or more species of different species of, but this section of the river is predominantly the people target walleye or like panfish, perch. Oh, got it. Crappie, bluegill. Now, are we in a deep part of the river? Because, like, I compare it to some of the rivers I fish or the ones that I remember in the Midwest, like the Fox River. Yeah. Is this a deep river, and how is it run? No, it's a very shallow river. Here's one of the deeper spots right behind us. Okay. It's probably 13 feet. Wow. You go to the lake, which there's Lake Koshkonong in the middle of the river here in this section, and its deep spot is 6-7 feet. So it's very shallow, and there's very little structure on it even. There's not a lot of structure in the river. You really have to look for whether it's a log jam or any kind of little depressions, but there are some boulders, which in certain areas that you can fish behind too. So Lake Koshkonong reminds me of Lake St. Clair. There's a river, the lake, and the river. And that's exactly what we have this situation. Yes, correct. And how people like to know, like,
there might be some pros that are watching this, or some intermediate anglers. Water flow. When is the best time for water flow? Like, you know, like right now I'm looking at it and it's probably moving at about 1 inch per second. 1 foot per second. It's pretty slow.
It's slow. You know, we've had high water all summer, but it went down, and it kind of slows down usually in the fall like this.
Is that good?
It can be good for fishing because it keeps fish out of backwater, congregates them into the river. Lake Kashon's so shallow, so it warms up very fast, right? Like today's a sunny day, it can warm up to 10 degrees in a day, just by the intense heat. If it's
you know,
hot.
and 6 to 7 foot is not very deep.
No.
So, do fish scatter, or have they become accustomed to it? Because generally speaking, walleyes, cold water fish.
That's very true. They are a cold water fish. The problem is there isn't a lot of cold water in the system.
Right.
So they're using current flow more than anything. Even though it's not a fast flow, they're still going to be near some kind of flow to keep some oxygen flowing and everything, because it's also not very weedy. There's some areas in the lake that have quite a few weeds, but there's not a ton of weeds in the river system.
Right, because it's always moving. And the other thing, too, I noticed when I walked down by the river, it's kind of, I don't want to say dirty, it's just cloudy, and it's not a clean river. Is that something, I'm going to use a big word here, indicative to this river?
Yes, this is not a very clean river. It's very cloudy.
Because of the shallowness?
Well, it's because it has a lot of muck bottom. So it's not a gravel or sand bottom like a lot of rivers.
Right.
It's got a lot of muck to it, especially the lake is a lot of muck. So it's very dark and silty.
Yeah. So, and I can see that happening too when the boats go around. I mean, really, 13 feet a boat. You know, what size boats can you run on this? Like, you have what do you have, a Triton?
Yeah, I have a 20.5-foot Triton. You know, the other day I was out here and we actually saw race boats out here. They're going to have a motorboat race out here.
Wow.
And they were running in the river, which was interesting. So they're fast.
Right.
So there's a lot of pontoons out here because of the shallow water.
Yeah.
It really gravitates to the small angler boat or pontoon boats as their primary boats.
Right. All right. Well, you know what? You gave a lot of information for somebody who wants to come out and possibly try fishing the Rock River. They know it's shallow. They know it's dirty. And they know a lot of this stuff now. So anyway, I think it's awesome that you did that. So, folks, hang tight. We're going to be out in the Rock River showing you more and more stuff about it. And hopefully we'll catch a walleye and show you that during the show, too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be on the water here soon. We'll be back with more right after this with more Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped.
Erica Tanner. Stay tuned for more Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped after these messages.
This bad boy go, but wow, look at that fish.
Oh my God, that's a
wow.
The Outdoor Tip of the Week is brought to you by Bennington Self-Storage.
Dale Helgeson here with your Outdoor Tip of the Week. Today we're talking about trolling in a river and how you have to compensate for the current as you go up or down the river. So if you're trolling down the river, say your current in your water is a ½ mile an hour and you want your bait to travel at a typical lake speed of 1.7 miles an hour, you have to go 2.2 miles an hour to get the same wobble out of your bait as you would on a lake at 1.7. So now, but going upriver, it's going to be slower because now you have a ½ mile an hour current going downriver. So you'll actually go like 1.2 miles an hour upriver. So you have the same wobble in both directions, even though it's a different speed. So you have to compensate for that. And if you don't have a gauge to check water speed, you can actually take and just put your bait in and see how it wobbles. You can tell how fast it's wobbling. Just keep it by the boat and get whatever wobble you're looking for, and that'll help you get the accurate speed and wobble for your bait to be more productive on the water. And that is your Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped tip of the week.
I'm Brian Hoosier from Bait Box on the Rock, and you're watching Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped.
Hey, welcome into Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped. I'm your host, Chris Bates, and boy, I am on the road again, Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and I have the pleasure to hang out with a very good friend of mine, National Walleye Tournament angler, Dale Helgeson. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here. I love coming to Fort Atkinson. I love coming to Delavan, hanging out with you. Tonight's a little bit special. We're doing a little promotional show here at the Island Bar. So let me ask you this, being a walleye angler, right? Quickly, you don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but how in the world did you get started as a walleye angler?
You know, I didn't fish a lot when I was a kid, and I went to my godparents in South Dakota when I was 13 years old. And my godfather actually fished walleye tournaments in South Dakota, and he took me out, and one of my first fish was a 28-inch walleye. Wow. And it just kind of lured me in.
Right? It's like catching a big muskie going, I got to go do that again. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was so bad that, you know, the picture was an old Polaroid.
Right,
you know?
right, back in the day.
And I still have it, and you can't even hardly see it anymore.
Right.
But, I mean, just to be a kid and not come from a fishing family.
Right.
Or environment, and to catch one that big, and everybody's like, oh, that's a trophy, you should mount it. And I'm like, what's mounting it?
Right,
you know, I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And to catch one, and then he taught me how to do it and what to look for. And he actually had a camper on the river, and I actually went and spent a couple days out there fishing by myself.
Right.
From shore, just fishing from shore, and it was an eye-opening experience. One, to be by myself, and when I'm 13 years old in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But to go catch fish, and I caught some from shore, and it was exciting. And when you pull them up, and you know you get cut by their gill plates, or they find out they got a lot of teeth. It makes you respect them a little more.
Right.
So it was just a lot of fun. It was a good experience for me as a kid. And that's kind of what pushed me into the walleye world.
So, you know, now that, let's fast forward a little bit. Now you're a walleye tournament angler, right? And how many times do you hear people say, oh, I can do that? But anybody can, and I don't say this, anybody can catch fish on their home waters. Anybody. But what does it really take to be a true walleye professional? What does it take?
It takes a lot of work. You have to do a lot of research on the bodies of water you're doing.
Right.
Having a good network is huge. People that live on the body of water that can help you.
Right.
And I think you got to be versatile. I mean, nowadays, you know, before it was a lot of trolling or jigging, and now it's transitioned into electronics world, right? Because now there's live imaging and everything else. So it's really transitioning away from the kind of spread your rods out, wait for fish to bite, to focus. You're looking at that fish on the graph, and you're casting at it, seeing your bait, and saying, oh, it's not going to bite that. Throw that rod down. It looks like a walleye boat now looks like a bass boat, where you got all these rods tied up with different lures. So then you throw something else at it until you find out what the reaction's going to be for the fish, because it changes all the time. So what
about like the financial end of it? You know, I think a lot of people that see this go, well, how hard can it be? I have a boat. I have a sponsor or two. I think I can do this. But what is the reality of the financial part of a walleye pro?
All right, for the NWT, it's basically $2,000 per tournament entry fee.
Okay.
Plus you have your room, board, and a lot of gas. So you're spending $4,000 to $5,000 every tournament.
Not including being off work if you don't have vacation time, because I think a lot of people try to put their home water tournament to a vacation.
Yep. Yeah, they want to tie it into a vacation.
Right.
Maybe they bring their families and everything else.
Right.
But to really focus on it, if you're going to do the whole circuit, you got to have some money or some really good sponsors. And you got to have time off to do it, because you're going to spend 9 days probably at least for every tournament between pre-fishing and the tournament days. So it's a big commitment.
So if you're talking 20,000, say, for the tournament, right?
Yep.
And you don't finish in the money, you know, you, like you said, you gotta have.
You're out.
You have to have some deep pockets to be able to weather that.
Yep. Yeah. People don't realize how expensive it really is.
Right.
And that's why a lot of fishermen really rely on sponsors, right?
Right.
So we try to find sponsors to promote, whether it's through TV or social media, however we can promote appearances. You know.
Right.
Today we're doing some guest appearances at the Island Bar.
Right.
In promoting all of our entities.
Right.
So I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into it. You know, I have people go, "Hey, you got that bait for free."
Right.
Well, they don't realize how many hours you got to put in to get that free bait.
Right.
Or what it all entails with marketing. And I think one thing that I would say to young anglers is really learn marketing.
Right.
If you don't understand marketing, it's going to be tough unless you've got a lot of money.
Right. So, you know, that's almost a topic for another segment or another show, because it's really big. But, you know, you bring up something really interesting, is that nowadays you don't really get money. You get product, and the tide has turned. But we are running out of time, and I want to thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. The Island Bar, I want to give them a big, huge
awesome
hand
place
for letting us come here and hang out and stuff. So thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking again at some point.
All right, thank you, Chris.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more right after this.
Hello everybody, Dale Helgeson here with the Outdoor Experience TV show. Today I had a little free time, so I'm in my outdoor kitchen, and I'm going to teach you how to make a simple fire roasted salsa with these simple ingredients. Alright, so the first thing I do is I put olive oil on these little pieces of tin foil. So you just sprinkle it out there, and this is just to help with the sticking. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our Roma tomatoes on. You just line them up in sweet here. Bell peppers. Next, we're going to put our other peppers. Jalapeno peppers. Serrano peppers. Onions, and I just cut them in half. Thing on the grill is garlic. And the last step while you're cooking is to actually drizzle some olive oil and put a little salt and pepper on them. We just close it up and we let these cook for a while, and we check them and we rotate them until they're all brown. Alright, so after we've let it cook for about 10 minutes, we just take it all and we put it in a bowl to let it cool down so we can put it into the food processor. Now that our veggies have cooled, we're going to start putting them in the food processor so we can chop them up. Just throw them in. And we lock it down, and I just put it on high to chop it up. grinding your veggies in the food processor to create your salsa. Use any chip you want to eat it with. It's great for sporting events, parties, gatherings. If you have any other ideas that you'd like me to make in the outdoor kitchen, contact me at theoutdoorexp@yahoo.com, and that is theoutdoorexp@yahoo.com.
Hey, welcome back. Boy, my time in southern Wisconsin just keeps getting better and better and better. And I have Bobby Gleason here, otherwise known as Bobby G. And this guy is kind of special, and we're going to hear all about why he's special. So, first off, tell me a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do for a living.
Well, at a young age, I was born and raised here in southern Wisconsin. Went to South Florida where I learned how to bartend.
Oh, see? Now we're getting there.
Yeah. So I went from South Florida to Las Vegas. Did a little time in Miami, back to Las Vegas, where I was very fortunate to be able to be on the opening team of the Mirage, Treasure Island, and Bellagio.
Oh.
So I've done some world-class resorts. And shortly after that, went out on my own and was hired as a beverage specialist, and then went on to gain my master mixologist status with the United States Bartenders Guild.
So when you say mixologist, people make fun of it, I'm sure, and they're like, you're just a bartender. What is a certified mixologist? What do you do?
The certification comes through the United States Bartenders Guild, and that's a lot of study on the histories, the laws, the cocktail histories. What I like to say, the histories, the stories, then the legends.
Okay.
Because we don't really know what all was truth and what was based on a hangover writing the next day.
Right.
So in today's world, the United States Bartenders Guild is coast to coast in the United States. We have over 60 chapters, and hopefully somewhere locally near you, one in every state.
Right.
And when we started to build that certification process, much like you've heard of a master sommelier.
Yeah.
That is run by the Guild of Master Sommeliers. So they set up that programming, and that's what we did with the United States Bartenders Guild. Did study, you go through a series of testings, and then after the final completion, you come in with your theory and you do a whole presentation, because it's much like, in the kitchen. When you look in the kitchen, you've got a sous chef, a chef, and a master chef.
Right.
And they all, at the end of the day, their role is to make food for people.
Right.
And the bar, you have a bar back, a bartender, then you have the mixologist and the master mixologist. And the bartender does everything.
Okay.
The mixologist is the guy that does everything, but also starts creating new cocktails and putting together menus.
Oh.
And in my opinion, the master mixologist does all of that, but our role now is more about teaching.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to say I'm one of 11 in America right now.
Wow, that is
Hope to have more.
That is fantastic. So let me ask you this question then. When do they think the first actual drink, a mixed drink, came into the public?
Well, you can see writings in Egypt, the hieroglyphs show them drinking something out of a clay vessel.
Okay.
And they usually would have a big straw, because they would add things to whatever it was they were drinking to make it more palatable.
Oh, I see. So that's how that kind of got started.
So cocktails and drinks have been around forever.
Right. Who would ever thought that, though, right? Mix a little this, mix a little that, add a little this, add a little that, and
it's much like cooking.
Right.
You want to have a balance of flavor, a balance of the sweet, a balance of the sour, a balance of the bitter.
So your expertise really is in, we were talking a little bit off air, is bourbon.
Yes, I was the master mixologist and senior portfolio ambassador for Jim Beam brands.
Okay.
Since 2000.
Wow.
And I've had the great fortune of drinking with Booker No, and I truly am honored and blessed to say that Fred and Freddie now are both dear friends of mine.
Wow. So Jim Beam, you think about Jim Beam. I think the common person, though, goes, let me get some Jim Beam, the little white label and just some, is that they're better brands, or does Jim Beam have a better brand?
We have a lot of different brands. Jim Beam, the white label that you're talking about, is the name on our door, if you will, and then it is also the #1 selling bourbon whiskey in the world.
Wow.
And
see all the stuff I'm learning already. Who would have thought that?
And Booker No created what we call the small batch.
Okay.
And the small batch consists of Basil Hayden, Knob Creek, Bakers, and Bookers. And they're all different flavor profiles, different strengths.
This is a whole show, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a whole entire show. All right, well, thank you so much for stopping by to talk to me a little bit. I appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it.
It's great, and gosh, can you catch fish?
That was a lot of fun.
Right?
And as our people here in southern Wisconsin say, go pack, go.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more Outdoor Secrets right after that.
239.56, you can say she's got it all. The bald eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom, is one of North America's most iconic birds. With its striking white head and tail contrasting against a dark brown body, the bald eagle is instantly recognizable. These magnificent birds primarily inhabit areas near large bodies of water like rivers, lakes, and coastal regions. Their diet mainly consists of fish, which they skillfully snatch from the water's surface using their sharp talons. Bald eagles are known for their impressive nests, which can be massive and reused and expanded year after year. During breeding season, bald eagles perform breathtaking aerial displays as part of their courtship rituals. Once the eggs hatch, both parents play an active role in raising their young, providing them with food and protection. The bald eagle holds special cultural significance, representing courage, freedom, and the spirit of America. In conclusion, the bald eagle is not just a magnificent bird, it's a symbol of resilience and the natural beauty of our world. Let us continue to cherish and protect these remarkable creatures for generations to come. 39.56, you can say she's got it all. Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped is brought to you in part by Cooler Guard with the cleaning power of enzymes, Fish Donkey, Hoffman Lures, White Rocks Design Studio, the official design company for Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped, Sugar Mountain Trading Company, Okuma Fishing, Get Inspired, Bennington Self Storage, P-Line, J. Robinson Outdoors, Outdoor Secrets Unwrapped hot sauce with that big craft heat and that big craft taste, the Outdoor Experience Guide Service serving southern Wisconsin for over 20 years, Corker Boats, and a proud member of the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce.
Again, may God bless you. Adios. Wise men say, only fools rush in. But I can't help falling in love.